Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
What is emotional maturity, and why are so many people emotionally immature? Can you improve your own emotional maturity, and how can you deal with emotionally immature people? Well, that's what I'm talking about this week here on Let's Talk About Mental Health, the weekly podcast that makes better mental health simple. Ready to learn about the role of emotional maturity in good mental health? Then get comfortable and let's talk. Hello and welcome to episode 241 of Let's Talk About Mental Health, and thanks for joining me as I talk about emotional maturity. I'm Jeremy Godwin, and this isn't your regular podcast full of interviews and random opinions. I'm a mental health counsellor and writer, and each week I look at one specific aspect of better mental health, and I share simple and practical tips you can apply immediately, all based on quality research and my own experience of learning to live with anxiety and depression after a breakdown in 2011 that changed my life. In this episode, I'll be talking about what emotional maturity is, why it matters for good mental health, and dealing with emotional maturity in others, as well as how to cultivate your emotional maturity. So, let's talk. Is it just me, or are we being surrounded more and more by emotionally immature people? Maybe it is just me. But there are days where it feels like some kind of warped version of The Walking Dead, except in this case, they're not going anywhere near our brains because anything related to intelligence seems to be completely off the menu. You see it a lot in the news and on social media, where people are becoming more and more childish about making their point and stamping their feet when something doesn't go their way. Even just the way that some people speak to one another, especially online, seems to indicate a complete lack of emotional maturity. The thing is that we all have a choice about how we go about this thing we call life, both in terms of how we interact with ourselves and how we interact with others. And making the choice to behave in a more emotionally mature way is, surprise, surprise, a choice. It is a choice that each of us can make about how we want to conduct ourselves and how we want to go about our lives. And it's the choice we make that determines what happens next. And so, when we choose to behave in a manner that is more in line with kindness and consideration, we can create better outcomes for ourselves and better connections with other people. I'll talk a little bit about how that pans out later, but to start with, let's get ourselves on the same page with some definitions, and let's talk about what is emotional maturity. So, emotional maturity is basically about how you manage and understand your emotions. Broadly, it refers to your ability to handle your emotions in a balanced and thoughtful way. It's not about suppressing your feelings, but about understanding them, recognizing their impact, and responding to them appropriately. It's about understanding your emotional reactions and learning how to manage them, so you can respond more thoughtfully rather than just speaking or acting on impulse without thought, since that usually leads to some fairly major messes that you need to clean up later. Think of it as the fine art of managing your inner world, so you don't find yourself wading through a minefield of crap every time you open your mouth. Emotional maturity is about recognizing and accepting that life is full of ups and downs, with plenty of unforeseen challenges coming our way, and choosing to stay calm under pressure. It's about choosing to see mistakes as learning opportunities rather than failures, and being humble enough to actually learn what you need to learn from them. And then it's also about building and maintaining healthy relationships that are fair, balanced, respectful, and mutually beneficial. Setting clear boundaries and sticking to them so that you can enjoy the relationship while also ensuring that your needs are being met. So, just a few things there to ask for. Nothing major, right? Of course, it's a huge amount to expect, and it takes a lot of hard work. And like I said at the end of last week's episode, it's a real challenge for most of us. And so that means we're probably not going to get it right all the time, which is okay. Because I think that what matters most here is intention and a willingness to take responsibility if and when we mess things up. And I don't know about you, but I mess things up at least once a day, probably multiple times a day. Emotional maturity is hard, especially when we see other people stamping their feet and shaking their fists to get what they want. But it's a case of remembering that two wrongs don't make a right, and choosing to be a kinder person as you go about your business, instead of stooping to the level of people who make the world all about them. I mean, look, none of this is easy, one way or the other. So it's about choosing your difficulty. Do you do the hard work now and focus on positive choices, or do you take the so-called easy way out by making negative or harmful choices, which are just going to make things harder to deal with later? So then, what about emotional immaturity? Well, that refers to someone's inability or unwillingness to manage and understand their emotions in a balanced and constructive manner. It often manifests as impulsive reactions, difficulty in handling stress, and challenges in maintaining healthy relationships. Emotionally immature individuals may struggle with self-awareness, empathy, and emotional regulation, and can be prone to lashing out, having emotional outbursts or temper tantrums, regardless of their age, avoiding responsibility or accountability, holding grudges, avoiding difficult conversations, prioritizing immediate gratification over long-term planning, having a lack of regard for others, displaying inconsistent behavior, and more. They can be really challenging to have healthy relationships with, and a little later I'll talk through how to deal with emotional immaturity. Now, let's focus on what emotional maturity looks like in practice. Generally, it means having self-awareness, empathy, and the capacity to handle stress without becoming overwhelmed. It's about staying calm in the face of challenges and being able to communicate your feelings effectively without lashing out or shutting down. For example, when you encounter a stressful situation at work, instead of reacting impulsively, you take a step back, assess the situation, and then respond calmly and thoughtfully. On a more specific level, emotional maturity involves recognizing your triggers and knowing how to manage them, because you know that you are responsible for your own words and actions. For example, if you know that certain comments or behaviors upset you, being emotionally mature means acknowledging those feelings and choosing a constructive response. It also means being able to apologize when you're wrong and to forgive others when they've wronged you. So, with all of that in mind, now let's talk about why emotional maturity matters for good mental health. Emotional maturity matters because it lays the groundwork for a balanced and fulfilling life, helping you navigate the complexities of your emotions and your interactions with others. It helps you to understand yourself better, build healthier relationships, and handle life's inevitable challenges with grace and resilience. When you're emotionally mature, you can communicate effectively, build strong relationships, manage stress, and adapt to change more easily, without resorting to temper tantrums or shaking your fist at the sky when things don't go your way. You understand how to communicate your feelings clearly, show empathy, stay calm under pressure, and accept what you can't control. Emotional maturity is particularly important for your mental health because it makes you more resilient, allowing you to bounce back from setbacks quickly and manage your emotions effectively, all of which is absolutely crucial during tough times. Recognizing and addressing your emotions before they escalate reduces anxiety and depression, and emotionally mature people tend to use healthier coping mechanisms, like talking about their feelings or practicing mindfulness, which boosts self-esteem and improves decision-making. When you're emotionally mature, you're better equipped to navigate life's ups and downs without getting stuck in negative patterns, and you're able to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than enormous obstacles. By fostering a healthy and positive relationship with yourself and with others, emotional maturity equips you with the tools to navigate life's emotional landscape with confidence and ease, leading to a healthier and more fulfilling life. So, what does emotional maturity look like in practice? It starts with self-awareness, being able to identify and understand your emotions as they arise, allowing you to address the root causes instead of just reacting impulsively. Another key aspect is empathy, enabling you to put yourself in someone else's shoes and build stronger relationships by actively listening and offering support. Balanced responses lead to healthier interactions, like thoughtfully considering constructive criticism without becoming defensive. And accountability is also crucial, because it involves taking responsibility for your actions and learning from your mistakes, both of which lead to personal growth and greater trust in your relationships. And it also involves treating yourself with respect, like when you set healthy boundaries and stick to them, because that's how you ensure your needs are met, while also maintaining respectful relationships. Overall, emotional maturity brings you a sense of inner calm and confidence, and it can equip you to navigate life's challenges more effectively. So, how do you do that? Well, let's first take a quick break to hear from the brands who help me create this show each week.
Struggling with weight loss? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet is a clinically developed nutrition program designed to promote fat loss while protecting lean body mass. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, it assists the body in entering a fasting-like state that helps reset metabolism and target visceral fat. In just 5 days, Prolon offers a science-backed approach to weight loss without extreme restriction or guesswork. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/now.
And welcome back. Now, this week, I'm mixing it up a bit by splitting the how-to section into 2 distinct parts. In a few minutes, I'll talk about building your own emotional maturity, but first, let's talk about how to handle emotional immaturity in others. Okay, so dealing with emotionally immature people can be challenging, but with the right strategies, you can navigate these interactions more effectively. Here are some practical tips to help you manage those types of relationships, starting with set clear boundaries. And regular listeners will be well aware that this is something I say in almost every episode, and with good reason. Boundaries are how you protect your emotional well-being and ensure that your needs are being respected. and they're crucial when it comes to dealing with the emotionally immature. You can do this by clearly communicating your limits and consistently enforcing them. For example, if someone tends to call you at inconvenient times, let them know when you're available and stick to it by only answering the phone during those times, which teaches them to respect your time and space. If they continue to ignore your boundaries, call them out on it in a fair but firm way. I talked about how to set and maintain boundaries back in episode 53, and they form a critical part of better relationships, which was the subject of episode 193. So check those out for more about boundaries. Okay, next, stay calm and composed, which is a nice way of saying don't get involved or don't take the bait. Maintaining your composure is essential when faced with emotional outbursts because it prevents the situation from escalating and allows you to respond thoughtfully. Stay calm by practicing deep breathing techniques and reminding yourself that their behavior isn't personal. It's about them and their inability to regulate their emotions. When someone becomes agitated, take a few deep breaths and respond in a calm, measured tone, which sets a positive example and can help de-escalate the situation. If they keep going, advise them that it's more appropriate for the two of you to discuss the matter when both of you are in a better headspace, and then remove yourself from the conversation immediately. Remember, fighting fire with fire just creates a bigger fire, so don't let yourself be dragged into an argument. Okay, next, focus on your feelings. And by that, I mean to use I statements, which can help you express your feelings without it sounding like an accusation. Doing this focuses on your perspective rather than blaming the other person, reducing defensiveness. Try framing your concerns with statements like, I feel upset when, or I need some time to process this. You'll find this approach encourages open communication and allows for a more constructive dialogue. Okay, next, don't engage in power struggles. Emotionally immature people often try to be the one in control, and avoiding this helps prevent unnecessary conflict and maintains a more peaceful environment. Stay focused on the issue at hand and don't get drawn into arguments about who is right or wrong. If they try to provoke you, calmly steer the conversation back to the main topic and refuse to engage in blame games. Next, offer constructive feedback. So, providing constructive feedback can help emotionally immature individuals grow because it provides them with specific examples and actionable steps for improvement. It just needs to be delivered in a thoughtful way at an appropriate time. Offer feedback when things are calm and be clear, concise, direct, and positive. For example, instead of saying, "You always overreact," try, "I've noticed that when we disagree, it often turns into a bigger issue. Maybe we could try discussing things more calmly." This approach encourages growth without causing defensiveness. Next, limit your expectations, which is about preventing disappointment, letting you accept the person as they are instead of trying to change them, which you can't. And it focuses you on what you can control, which is yourself, and what you choose to do and say. Limit your expectations by acknowledging that the other person may not change overnight or at all. Instead, focus on your responses and how you can maintain your emotional well-being, which reduces frustration and helps you stay grounded. Next, encourage professional help. So, suggesting professional help can be beneficial if the person is open to it. Therapy or counselling can provide them with the tools to manage their emotions better. You can encourage professional help by gently suggesting it as a positive step. For example, say, I think talking to a counsellor could really help you work through some of these feelings. This shows that you care about their well-being and are supportive of their growth. Sure, it may go down like a lead balloon, but it's still a strong and positive suggestion to make. Oh, and if the person is a partner or close family member, then something like couples counselling or family counselling will potentially be enormously beneficial, so you can both learn how to communicate better during arguments. And as a side note, if it's a parent you're dealing with, then you might find the book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents helpful. It's by Lindsay C. Gibson, and you can find it on Amazon. There are some sequels too and a guided journal. Okay, next, decide whether or not to continue to engage with them. Knowing when to step back from an emotionally immature person is crucial in order to protect your emotional energy and maintain balance in your life. Evaluate the impact of the relationship by asking yourself if it brings more stress than positivity. Consider a trial period of limited interaction to see if it improves your mental state. If the relationship consistently drains you and the person shows no signs of improvement, it may be best to distance yourself. Prioritize your own well-being and don't hesitate to step back from harmful or toxic relationships. And I covered toxic relationships in episode 228. Okay, now let's talk about how to cultivate your emotional maturity. And my first tip is practice self-awareness. Understanding your emotions is the foundation of emotional maturity, and that means being aware of what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. Self-awareness allows you to recognize your emotional triggers and manage your responses. You can practice self-awareness by regularly checking in with yourself throughout the day. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And what's causing these feelings? Journaling your thoughts and emotions can also be a helpful tool in the process. I covered self-awareness in episode 62, and I also have some self-reflection tools available to buy in my store. It's linked in the episode description, or head to ltamh.com. Okay, next, develop empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, crucial for building strong and healthy relationships. Empathy allows you to connect with others on a deeper level and fosters mutual respect. Actively listen to others without interrupting, trying to see things from their perspective, and responding with compassion. When someone shares their feelings with you, acknowledge their emotions and validate their experience. Next, improve your emotional regulation. Managing your emotions, especially in stressful situations, is a key aspect of emotional maturity because it prevents impulsive reactions and promotes thoughtful responses. You can improve your emotional regulation by practicing mindfulness and deep breathing exercises. When you feel overwhelmed, take a moment to pause, breathe deeply, and calm your mind, which will help you respond rather than react. I covered emotional regulation back in episode 198. Okay, next, cultivate patience, which means maintaining your composure and staying calm, even when things aren't going your way. This reduces stress and helps you handle challenges more effectively. Remind yourself that not everything happens on your timeline. practice delayed gratification and try to see the bigger picture. When faced with delays or obstacles, take a step back and focus on what you can control. Next, practice accountability. Taking responsibility for your actions and their consequences is a true sign of emotional maturity, and it builds trust and integrity. You are responsible for your words and actions, something I discussed in episode 16 about accountability. So if you've made a mistake, then own up to it, apologize sincerely, and think about what you can and will do differently next time, which shows you're committed to personal growth and improvement. Next, embrace vulnerability. Being open and honest about your feelings, even when it's uncomfortable, is a sign of emotional maturity. Embracing vulnerability helps to foster deeper connections, and it promotes emotional healing. And you can embrace vulnerability by sharing your true feelings with trusted friends or family members, and by allowing yourself to experience and express emotions without fear of judgment. Okay, next, communicate assertively, which means expressing your thoughts and feelings openly and respectfully. Assertive communication helps because it builds mutual respect and reduces misunderstandings. You can practice assertive communication by using I statements like I feel or I need instead of blaming or criticizing others. Next, seek feedback and learn. Seeking feedback from others is a valuable way to grow emotionally because it provides new perspectives and highlights areas for improvement. Ask trusted friends, family, or colleagues for their honest opinions about your behavior and interactions. Listen openly without becoming defensive and reflect on their input. Then, use this feedback to make positive changes and continue your journey of personal growth. Because when it comes to emotional maturity and mental health, what it all boils down to is this. Emotional maturity is about understanding and managing your emotions, building strong relationships, and navigating life's challenges with resilience and grace. Actively working on your emotional maturity equips you with the tools to handle stress better, make thoughtful decisions, and maintain a positive outlook. By prioritizing your emotional growth, you're investing in a more balanced, fulfilling life. Remember, every step you choose to take towards emotional maturity is a step towards better well-being and greater life satisfaction. The choice is yours, as it is with all things related to your well-being. So, what choice will you make today? Each week I like to finish up by sharing a quote about the week's topic, and I encourage you to take a few moments to really reflect on it and consider what it means to you. This week's quote is by an unknown author, and it is, "Emotional maturity does not automatically come with age. You need to work at it." Let me repeat that. Emotional maturity does not automatically come with age. You need to work at it. All right, that's nearly it for this week. What does emotional maturity mean to you? If you're on Spotify, scroll down and share in the Q&A section below. Otherwise, let me know on Instagram at LTA Mental Health or comment on the transcript, which you can have delivered to your inbox each week, along with my newsletter Thursday Thoughts. Sign up at ltamh.com or use the link in the episode description. And discover more tips on my other Instagram account, It's Jeremy Godwin, plus become a paid supporter on Patreon for early access to ad-free episodes of all of my podcasts. Next week, I'll be talking about how to be more assertive. Lately, I've been revisiting some of my oldest episodes and exploring those topics again, so I can share even more practical advice on it. And the latest installment of this little walk down memory lane is going to be assertiveness, the art of getting what you need without destroying your relationships in the process. A lot of people find it hard to ask for what they need, and that can lead to resentment and miscommunication. So, next time I'll be talking about what being assertive means, why it matters, and how you can improve your assertiveness skills. That episode will be released on the 28th of July 2024, and I hope you'll join me for it. Hit follow on your podcast service and press the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thank you very much for joining me today. Look after yourself and make a conscious effort to share positivity and kindness out into the world, because you get back what you put out. Take care and talk to you next time. Let's Talk About Mental Health is an independent program proudly produced by Reconnaissance Media. For more information, visit reconnaissancemedia.com.